Welcome back, you guys. This is a sort of a part two to the last one you saw about me trying to stay on top of my house, even though I feel overwhelmingly exhausted at this point. I'm just really tired and trying to get out of it. I decided today I'm going to tackle my kitchen. I am showing you the living room because at this point I have delusions of grandeur that I'm going to get a lot accomplished. And so I do film the living room. And so, yeah, update. This is what my living room looks like and still currently looks like that. So I wanted to get the kitchen clean. It's bothering me beyond belief, and I wanted to get it cleaned. So this morning, I got up and I did go for a walk. I wanted to get some movement in. I wanted to get some steps in. And I wanted to get that morning sunshine on my skin, trying to do what I can to support the vitamin D. And then in a little while after that walk, I do have a doctor's appointment. It's just the labs before I meet my new doctor. So they draw labs about a week before you go into your actual appointment, so the doctor actually knows what he wants to talk about. So I got those two things done. I came home, I drank and ate because it was a fasting lab. So I did get some coffee in. I did eat a little bit and I kind of just rested and puttered around. And then I had some energy and I thought, okay, let's get this going. Here, I keep checking my computer because I put on something to listen to while I clean, and I picked weather, and that's a terrible choice because the weatherman is talking about how a system is developing and it could come our way, but it's not enough to be a tropical storm, but maybe it could. And so I keep pausing, being like, well, what is it? What is happening? And is it coming my way? Like, please be more specific. So now I know not to put on weather that's in regards to me while I'm trying to clean. It's just really, really distracting. So one thing I wanted to get done is I want to get my dishes washed and I want this island cleared off. That is a big goal of mine. I fell short of it last time. I was just way, way too tired, and I really want to get it accomplished this time. So yeah, let's get it going. We're getting the dishes together. There aren't too many dishes to do today, which might come back and bite me in the bum after I say that. One thing, so I got up and, went for my walk, and it's really hot here. So as soon as you're done being outside, you basically want to come in and shower. And so I shower and I wash my hair and I leave it down. And just that, my kids are always like, oh my gosh, you look magnificent. What are you doing today? Why are you so fancy? And I love the fact that my kids are just dazzled when I shower. That's how low the bar is here. The simple act of not being a house goblin is enough to comment on. So my kids are always very impressed the days that I wash my hair and don't just have it in a crazy bun on top of my head. So yes, I am absolutely stunning today with my washed hair and my mascara that I smacked on afterwards. We don't have a lot of dishes. I've been doing a lot of let's eat off of paper plates because, I think it's a good thing to fall back on when you're just too tired to actually get on top of the dishes. Why make more dishes when you can just give yourself a break? And then, so another thing I did is I have made freezer meals that I made for myself and stuffed in the freezer. And I pulled out both some meatloaf patties that I made. So it's basically a hamburger patty, but with meatloaf mixtures in there, and a chicken bake. And so I have had some homemade meals without actually having to put any effort into it. And they have been fantastic for me. So all I did, I threw that chicken bacon from frozen. I just set my oven to 350 and I put the casserole in as it warms up. So I'm not sticking a frozen log of a casserole into a burning hot oven. So I let them kind of adjust together. And then it takes a while, like this, it's a smaller casserole and it cooked for about 2 hours when everything was nice and warmed through and the cheese was melted and everything like that. And then I just roasted a little bit of broccoli on the side and that's what we had for dinner. It was about 8 minutes of active effort only because the broccoli came out of the bag in enormous chunks. They were like trees of broccoli. So I had to cut them down to size and then I tossed in a little bit of home rendered lard and salt and I roasted them and they are delicious. I am almost positive you guys can hear stuff going on in the background. I am really sorry. I am putting this together later in the evening and by people, I mean Mark's making dinner in the kitchen. It's the hamburger patties. He's pulling those out and it sounds like he is going to make a fort of tinfoil by how much it's rustling around in there. It's probably like a full suit of armor that he's crafting and he's going to slay a dragon later, but I don't have a studio. I want a studio. That's unreasonable. I don't need a studio, but I do want to have some space. It's so loud. I wish I had some space to where I could do this and not get frustrated with my family for existing. But I do know that you guys are amazing and supportive and hopefully you won't come burn everything down because of the random background noise. Okay. So, and also, by the way, that completely threw me off track, but we are like a third of the way through this. I'm not starting over. So hard pivot to look, I am finishing up my dishes. And at this point, okay, so I smell something in the sink and I am kind of sure it's probably because my sink is gross, but we have had a lot of rain and our groundwater is really saturated. Our ground is very saturated and this area has a very high sulfur smell into the water sometimes. And we don't have a whole house like purification system. Those are just wildly expensive. We weren't sure how long we were going to live here. We didn't want to put so much money into a home that we weren't going to own for a long time. So that's why we have the big Berkey system on the side. We put all of our drinking and cooking water through it because I just don't trust our tap water very much. I don't even trust it enough to come through the water part of the fridge. And so it is smelling a little off, and I think maybe it could be the water, but it also could just be the sink. So I want to get everything out, and I really want to put effort into scrubbing down this sink. These little racks, which I love deeply, I've never had them in a sink before, and they always seem like, I don't know, an extra step too far and too annoying, but I really do enjoy having them in my sinks. They do get a little gunky, so you do have to scrub them off just like you have to scrub out your sink, but I don't know, there's just something about them that is nice, and I cannot at all tell you anything more than that. I just kind of like them, I guess. So the inside of the sink is pretty gross. I have not washed dishes to the bottom of an empty sink in a while. I have gotten enough dishes to fill the dishwasher done, and there's always been more dishes to the bottom, so it hasn't been emptied out to be scrubbed. And so I'm glad I'm getting that done today. Even though there were extra dishes to keep going on, I really wanted to get this step done to make sure if the smell is from the sink, we get that taken care of. And if it's from the water, there's nothing we can do about that except for wait until it's less eggy.
With you, everything's moving slower.
looking good tonight. There is something so satisfying about cleaning your kitchen sink. It just makes everything so nice when it's nice and shiny. And I do know that the Fly Lady, her cleaning system, I've been looking into it, and she talks about having a clean sink, a shiny sink, to the point that she will talk about how she would advise you to get like a tub and put your dirty dishes in the tub under the sink to make sure that you have a clean and shiny sink. That seems insane to me, but it's a choice. You set my wheels in motion. I'm going crazy for you. I feel like the ocean. I can see you want this too, 'cause you've been looking at me all night. Okay, so now that it's cleaned, I want to go a step further. I knew that I had bought garbage disposal tablets a little bit ago, not too long ago. And now I am going to use them for the very first time. So I have to figure out how to use them. This is the setup you get, guys. I'm sorry. I don't have a better way of showing you like an overhead of the sink without you seeing most of the stand on your own. So it had me run hot water on the side, not directly into the disposal, for a minute, then get it down to a trickle, and then you throw that whole packet in and turn it on. And it started backing up the second sink. The instructions on the back tell you to expect that, and that it would back up in both or one, and that when it recedes back down, you know it's done. It should take about a minute or two. It felt like less than a minute for me for all of that foam to recede back into it. And then you just rinse it out. Honestly, I can't tell much of a difference. I don't smell much of a difference or anything like that, but I don't know. I cleaned my garbage disposal, so I guess I could just flex on the fact that it happened. Whether or not it was productive is yet to be seen. Okay, so I do want to say that I feel so fancy in these pants. They are fancy pants, and I love wearing them. I'm like, yeah, look at me. I am fantastic. Watching this footage back, I'm like, oh no, I am way too short for these pants. They just look silly. But deep down, I love them. So I need to get them hemmed to where they're a reasonable size for me, because they just feel so nice and flowy, and they're airy. There are really big slits up the front, like where it lays over. I mean, if you're not careful and the wind gets you, you're going to show everything to everybody. The top of these pants are the waistband. But they're so nice and airy, and I feel so good in them. And then looking at it back, I'm like, oh no, I am way too short. But I love them still. I don't care. I love them still. They are ridiculous, but I love them. So I am putting back some of the canning stuff that I got out. I did order wide mouth jarred lids and rings, because when I was canning up my peaches, I did not have very many wide mouth tops lids left. The vinegar, I put that in my laundry room because I use vinegar in my laundry about as often as I use it in my cooking, so it can just live in the laundry room. During the 4th of July, we had the hardest time lighting off our fireworks. We had 2 lighters that were just fighting us tooth and nail to actually work. So my husband ordered these new lighters, and I was going to open one and put it in the drawer just in case we were going to light some candles or anything. And I decided to try the lighters that we had fought with, and they both worked just fine. And I saw on the side that you can see how much fuel's in there, a ton. Both of those are perfectly functional and didn't need to be replaced. They just both didn't want to work on the 4th of July. Maybe they were British. Okay, so I pause the camera and I take off my apron, and then when I restart the camera, it's in cinematic mode, which initially I was like, yeah, that's actually pretty cool. I'm going to leave it in there. And I don't like it. It whoms in and out too much. The focus, I guess it knows that I exist, and the focus tends to be on me, I thought the focus was going to be simply in the foreground and be blurry towards the background, and not that it would focus in and out and adjust so much on me. So I am sorry for this. I tried something new though, and now we know that it's not the best technique for us. Okay, the vanilla that we're mad at, right? So this vanilla, I had beans in, it had been sitting for a very long time, months and months, almost a year. And then we tasted it when I wanted to make that peach crumble, and it was still just vodka. It was straight up vodka. It was not vanilla extract. So I ordered more vanilla beans, put them in. It honestly hasn't been that long, but I just wanted to see. And it tastes like more like vanilla extract to me. It's not pleasant. Like, drinking vanilla extract is not pleasant regardless. But it does have much more of an extract flavor over a vodka flavor, even in that short amount of time. We are going to let it sit. This is going to be poured off for holiday gifts and used more in the holiday baking. So it has, 3 more months to just hang out like that. It's not like it's going to get too vanilla-y. I would just use less of it. So I'm not risking anything by letting it sit longer. I said that with such authority, and now I really don't know if that's true. But we will figure it out in a few months. So this will be a live and let live experiment situation. It can't be too terrible. But I'm really looking forward to it. I have some really cute bottles that I can pour it off into. And if I haven't lost them, I got some adorable labels that I could just put like homemade vanilla. And my husband can gift it to like some of the ladies that he works with, like admin. And I can give it to some of my neighbors and friends, and I'm excited about it. It's been a long time coming, and I really hope people appreciate where I'd be like, I have stuck this in a closet for a year, and then I pulled it out and I wanted to give it to you, so be grateful. So something I would never admit out loud is I have been wearing these pants about three days in a row because they're my favorite pants. And nobody has seen me except for when I went to the doctor's office. Nobody's seen me wearing them, so no one will ever know. And I love that for me. I did change out my shirt because I was wearing a pajama top for a significant portion of that time. And it was covered in like cat hair, so you could totally tell. So I put on a fresh top, and fresh top, fresh outfit. Man, I really thought that this would be a cute little cinematic vibe, but it's just the zooming in and out is just too much for me. I do not like it. Okay, so I can feel myself winding down. And I'm reminding myself that I did go for a walk today. So I'm close to 10,000 steps, pretty happy with that. And I do want to save energy to make dinner. So I decide that I'm going to get what I can done in the kitchen done. And that way I will not burn myself out and be like, okay, let's just order in. What's hilarious about that is that Mark is actively doing the dinner right now, because I also edited and wanted to get the voiceover done. So he just decided to do dinner. So all that reserved energy will be put forward to something phenomenal tomorrow, or who knows. I am excited because the blood work that was drawn today. Oh, okay. So I did go to the lab today. I switched from the faraway VA clinic to the VA clinic that was in my town that I did not know existed when I started going to the one that was an hour and a half away. And so I'm going to change providers. I'm really excited about it. But the VA feels so old school sometimes. One thing I love about it is when you go into the waiting room, everybody is your buddy. Everybody's your friend. I have such sweet, kind, amazing conversations with people in the waiting room, whereas in a regular clinic, you don't talk to people in the waiting room. I'm not kidding. People like yell what they're there to be seen about. They know each other. They're like, oh man, yeah, I'm here for this and blah, blah, blah. Very funny. Nobody cares about their medical information being private. But I had a sweet talk with two older men. We discussed how embarrassing it is that I was Army, but I married a Navy man. And then the old Navy men who were waiting for their appointment were hilariously offended on their behalf about the Navy. And then they made fun of the Army, and just everybody is cute and they nag at each other and it's adorable. But I go back for the labs and they run a pregnancy test, which is, I don't know when that ends. When does the blanket pregnancy test end? It's not even in the wheelhouse of things that I am concerned with right now. And it's so standard. I bet you I will come back at like 65 years old and the Army will be still stuck so much in their way. They'll be like, can we test you for pregnancy real quick? Because like maybe that's what's wrong with you. Have you considered you're knocked up? So they do the test and I was like, I'm sorry, is that a pregnancy test? And they're like, oh yeah. And I'm like, that would be such a hard conversation to have with my husband if that comes back positive. That's going to be pretty intense. And they laughed and he drew my blood and I was on the way out the door and I was like, okay, well, call me if it's positive, I guess. And he goes, oh, let me check real quick. And he goes, nah, you're good to go. And he goes, oh, no, wait, is that 2 lines? And I was like, stop. And he goes, no, just teasing. And I was like, that is a risky joke, my friend, because that would have just been hilarious, amazing for the YouTube content. So like maybe I should have a whoopsie baby for the plot, but he was adorable. I don't know. It's a different vibe when you go to VA facilities. They're just, I don't know, everybody is your friend. Not that everybody's friendly, but everybody is your friends. Hard to describe. Okay, so the main island is basically done. I'm leaving out that bag of potatoes because potatoes will be featured today for dinner. And also some green beans that I have to remember are in the second fridge or we will never eat them and they will just rot and I will discover them 4 weeks from now and I'm going to get super pissed at myself. Okay, so that's basically done. I feel like there should be more stuff on my counter, that it's not like decorated enough, but I don't really know what's missing from it. It usually feels like there's more to it than what's on there. But even if after I get the salt and pepper on, it's just not finished. It's empty. All right, back counter. We know that I love piling all of the dishes on the back counter, then pretending it doesn't exist. It's kind of going to happen today. I know that I'm not going to get these dishes that I have on my stove done. I want to soak them, not just because they really need to be soaked, but because I really want to soak them. It's just a good excuse. Oh, another thing I wanted to comment on is that because I am trying to get things done with the least energy possible, I started using wipes, those last 2 pre-cleaned wipes, and I only let myself wipe off the counter once. It didn't really feel super clean. I did feel like I wish I had gone back on over it like 2 or 3 times. But it's not necessary. I didn't have to do that. It was clean enough with the first wipe and I could move on to the next spot, even though deep down I wanted to go back over it a few more times. I'm glad that I did that. I'm proud of that. It's really hard to not get so focused on things being absolutely perfect when everything else is on fire. It's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's not so much the dog sitting drinking coffee with the room on fire saying this is fine. It's not that. I don't know what a good comparison would be, but it is not seeing the forest for the trees. You know, just hyperfixating on one tree when clearly my house is a forest. Terrible analogy. Oh, I hate this. It's going to bother me forever, and I'm going to come back like 2 months from now and be like, You guys remember when I was cleaning the kitchen, I couldn't find an analogy? Well, when I was falling asleep last night, here's the analogy I thought of, and it's perfect. I hate that. It's like having an argument with somebody, and on your way home, you're like, oh, damn it, that would have been brilliant. What? And it's not like you can call them and be like, hey, I want to say this to you after you said that thing. Like, the moment's gone, but it is going to bother me for a while. Bummer. Okay, so I do clean off my stove. I don't do a fantastic job. I'm just getting like food stuff off of it to where when I cook my eggs tomorrow morning, it doesn't smell like something burning on the cooktop while I'm doing eggs. Not that that happened today. That was just a hypothetical, not a current life experience. All right. Here's where I'm for certain winding down. I know I'm not going to do the big pans. The dishwasher's running, so I'm not going to get any of the silverware or the small dishes in. So the strainer and the rice cooker, those are two things that I can just knock out because they take zero effort and put on the drying rack. And I still want to get a little bit more of this countertop cleaned. So after I wash these two things off, I'm going to start shuffling everything as close to the sink as possible because I also decided I don't want to fill the sink and then have a non-functional sink waiting for the dishes. Oh, right there, Leroy keeps trying to come in and bother me, and he's not supposed to be in the kitchen. So I tell him to back up, and he backs up exactly half an inch and then stares at me to see if that's good enough. So I have to keep telling him he needs to back up until he's all the way out of the kitchen. And then he like went behind the island and like peeked around the corner to see if I was going to pay enough attention or if he could come into the kitchen to supervise my cleaning. So yeah, I just want to get this little bit. It's gross. There's bits of food, and gross stuff. And I could see it and I wanted that up and away and I wanted to take care of it. Not too terrible. And I'm basically it. That's basically where I can get. I've decided. Get a little bit more scraped up, but I'll have the girls empty the dishwasher and I hope to address these dishes tomorrow morning. That feels like it would be a really good thing for me to do. And then kind of going into the weekend with a mostly clean kitchen. It's significantly better. The countertop has space where we can actually cook and do things. The back counter is looking a little bit better. Not the best, but a little bit better. The dishes I can get done, what's that, 15 minutes worth of dishes. And I cleaned my garbage disposal. When's the last time you cleaned your garbage disposal, right? I'm just better than you is what I'm trying to say, garbage disposal wise. Yeah, not too many on the drying rack. I really need to clean these floors. They're another big part of what's eating away at my deep soul are these floors, but I just can't do it until the counters are completely done. Okay. Well, thank you so much for spending time with me today. I really appreciate it. I cannot wait to see you again in the next video, and I love you. Bye.